Family, welcome back to another episode of the Royal Sussex Squad, where we celebrate Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and shine a light on truth, dignity and fairness in the face of relentless negativity from the press and so-called royal experts. Now let me tell you, today's story is one that blends fashion, power, influence, and the never-ending attempt to diminish Meghan's impact. But as we always say here on the Squad, you can't dim the light of a woman who was born to shine. Now, the latest headline reads, Meghan Markle handed lifeline with new Vogue US editor Chloe Malle after fallout. And let me pause right there. A lifeline? Really? That word already tells you how biased and manipulative some of these outlets are. As if Meghan, a woman who has built a global brand, inspired millions, launched a multi-million-dollar Spotify deal, Netflix projects, charitable foundations, and even her own lifestyle brand, as ever needs Vogue, or anyone, to hand her a so-called lifeline. Meghan doesn't need saving. Meghan is the lifeline. She is the light, the innovator, the cultural shifter. But let's unpack this story, because buried beneath the tabloid spin, there is a real shift happening in the fashion world, and Meghan's influence is right at the centre of it. So, what's going on? Well, Chloe Malle, daughter of Hollywood legend Candice Bergen and filmmaker Louis Malle, has just stepped in as the new editorial content chief of American Vogue, replacing the one and only Anna Wintour, the so-called Queen of Fashion, who held that role for nearly 4 decades. And what's one of the first things eagle-eyed watchers noticed Chloe did? She followed Meghan Markle on Instagram. Now, I don't know about you, but in this digital age, when a powerful editor makes that kind of public move, it's a signal, it's a handshake. It's saying, I see you, I acknowledge your influence, I'm open to engagement. This is a far cry from the chilly stance Meghan allegedly faced with Anna Wintour, according to so-called insiders. And let's take this with a grain of salt, because we know how these unnamed sources are used to spin narratives. Meghan's team was in talks with Vogue back into 2022 for a major feature that would highlight her charitable work and coincide with her Manchester Summit appearance. That was supposed to be a moment that celebrated her leadership, her advocacy and her role as a global change-maker. But what happened? Anna Wintour supposedly got off, because Meghan's representatives wanted certain headlines and creative control. And let's pause here. Why is it that when Meghan advocates for how she's represented, suddenly she's demanding, controlling, or micromanaging? Yet when other celebrities, particularly white celebrities, negotiate every detail of their magazine spreads, from lighting to cover text, it's called creative direction or brand management. The hypocrisy is glaring. Meghan had every right to want her story told authentically, without being twisted into yet another misogynistic or racist trope. And if Anna couldn't handle that, that's on Anna, not Meghan. What's even more telling is that after those talks reportedly collapsed, Meghan was shut out of the September issue entirely. No cover, no feature, nothing. That wasn't a creative decision. That was punishment. That was retaliation. Let's call it what it was: gatekeeping. The fashion elite closed their doors to Meghan because she dared to step into her power and ask for respect. And let's not forget, Meghan wasn't some random celebrity begging for a Vogue cover. She had already proven herself in the fashion world. Back in 2019, she made history guest editing British Vogue's Forces for Change edition, the first ever guest editor in the magazine's history. That issue featured women from all walks of life, activists, leaders, artists, voices pushing for progress. It sold out instantly, broke records, and redefined what a September issue could be. Meghan brought purpose, diversity, and real-world issues to those glossy pages. She elevated British Vogue, not the other way around. But instead of being celebrated long-term, Meghan was once again painted as difficult. Notice the pattern? Every time she innovates, every time she does something groundbreaking, the establishment tries to clip her wings. Now, let's talk about Edward Enninful, who was editing British Vogue at the time. The tabloids want us to believe that his friendship with Meghan soured after the 2022 cancellation. They say he was furious to lose the project. But here's the reality. Edward and Meghan created magic together in 2019. Their collaboration was iconic. Whether or not they've spoken much since, that doesn't erase what they accomplished. The real issue here isn't Meghan falling out with editors. It's that the old guard of fashion couldn't handle a black biracial duchess setting new standards and expecting respect. They're used to dictating terms. Meghan flipped that script. So now here comes Chloe Malle, stepping into the spotlight as Vogue's new leader. She's younger, she's more digitally savvy, and she understands that culture is shifting. The fashion world can no longer thrive by catering only to old money, elitism, and narrow beauty standards. Today's audiences want inclusivity. They want diversity. They want authenticity. And Chloe knows that Meghan represents all of that. By simply following Meghan on Instagram, Chloe is signalling a potential reset. She's saying, we're not going to keep you in the cold anymore. We see the power you hold. And let's be honest, if Vogue has any sense at all, they should be running toward Meghan, not away from her. She is the embodiment of modern influence, fashion, philanthropy, media, and global relevance. Her absence from Vogue covers and from events like the Met Gala hasn't diminished her shine one bit. In fact, it's only made her stand out more, because she doesn't need those institutions to validate her. They need her to stay relevant. Now, here's where I want to slam the tabloids again. Notice how the Daily Mail and others spin this as Meghan being handed a lifeline. What they're really saying is, we tried to isolate her, we tried to erase her from the elite spaces, but guess what? She's still here and doors are opening again. That's not a lifeline, that's resilience. That's Meghan's undeniable impact. No matter how hard they try, they cannot erase her influence. Think about it. Meghan and Harry left the royal family in 2020. Since then, they've been mocked, dragged through the mud, accused of being irrelevant, and yet here we are in 2025, still talking about them, still writing headlines about them, still watching their every move. That's not irrelevance, that's enduring power, that's cultural staying power. So, family, as we look at Chloe Malle's quiet but powerful signal, I want us to see this as bigger than just a fashion story. This is about gatekeeping versus progress. This is about institutions realizing they can't keep shutting out Meghan without looking outdated themselves. This is about a new generation of leaders in media and fashion recognizing that Meghan Markle is not just a duchess, she's a force for change. And let me say this. No matter what the tabloids write, no matter how many fake narratives they push about fallouts and lifelines, Meghan continues to thrive because she stands in her truth. She represents something bigger than a magazine cover. She represents the future. So, let's lift her up. Let's celebrate the fact that even the most elite institutions, even ones that once tried to ice her out, are being forced to acknowledge her influence again. That's not a lifeline. That's Meghan Markle doing what she's always done. Rising above the noise, setting her own path, and leaving the rest to catch up. Meghan Markle handed lifeline with new Vogue US editor Chloe Malle after fallout. The Duchess of Sussex previously guest-edited British Vogue's September 2019 edition. Meghan Markle has been handed a lifeline after Chloe Malle, American Vogue's new editorial content chief, signalled a potential shift in relations between the Duchess of Sussex and the fashion publication. Ms. Malle, 39, succeeded the legendary Anna Wintour as editor-in-chief this week and has already suggested a different approach to the Sussexes than her predecessor. Amid the fanfare of her first week in the prestigious role, eagle-eyed royal watchers noticed that Ms. Malle had followed Meghan on Instagram. While no direct public contact has been made, the gesture marks a clear departure from the reportedly strained relationship between the Duchess and Ms. Wintour. Chloe Malle, the new Vogue US editor, has handed Meghan Markle a lifeline by following her on Instagram, Getty. Meghan and the former editor are believed to have clashed, with Ms. Wintour allegedly blocking the Duchess from appearing on the magazine's prestigious September 2022 edition. The then editor, who helmed American Vogue for nearly 4 decades, reportedly intervened when disagreements arose over editorial decisions. According to fashion industry sources, tensions arose in 2022 when the Duchess's representatives allegedly sought to exert specific control over coverage planned for Vogue's September issue. The feature was intended to highlight Meghan's charitable work, and coincide with her appearance at the Manchester summit that September. Insiders claimed the Duchess's team insisted on particular headlines and pushed for cover placement, prompting Ms. Wintour's intervention. Anna was off. Anna was frustrated with all the micromanaging and just was like, all right, that's it. She can't have the cover and we're not doing the story, a source told the Daily Mail. The entire project was subsequently cancelled. The abandoned Vogue feature is also thought to have strained Meghan's relationship with Edward Enninful, who was editing British Vogue at the time. Fashion insiders suggested the pair's friendship deteriorated after the project's cancellation, with one source noting, Edward was furious to have lost the project, as were the powers that be at Condé Nast. The planned coverage would have required substantial resources, including photographers, videographers and stylists for exclusive content with the Sussexes. Their once close relationship reportedly dwindled to sporadic communication, the Mail reported. Despite guest editing British Vogue's September 2019 Forces for Change edition, the Duchess has never appeared on a Vogue cover. The couple have also been notably absent from the Met Gala since moving to America in 2020. Sources suggested Meghan's team had high expectations for the 2022 feature, whilst the Duchess herself remained relaxed with no expectations. Ms. Malle, the daughter of actress Candice Bergen and filmmaker Louis Malle, joined Vogue in 2011 and previously headed Vogue.com before her recent promotion. Family, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Chloe Malle's move signals a real change for Meghan's relationship with Vogue? Do you think we'll finally see her on the cover of American Vogue, or do you think Meghan even needs them at this point, given everything she's already accomplished? Let's talk about it in the comments. And before we go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can always do so with a super thanks. Every contribution helps keep the Royal Sussex Squad strong and growing. Until next time, stay positive, stay uplifted, and remember, you can't dim a light that was meant to shine.